Hey everyone, and welcome to CAA Today, Season 5, Week 3. Today we have our guest host, Cooper. How you doing today, Cooper?
I'm doing wonderful. At the time of recording, it's a great day to be watching Nickelodeon.
It is NFL and Nickelodeon happening as we do this, so hopefully you guys watch that because it's apparently super interesting. Maybe not the best commentary, but
I
it's a
just want
once
to
in a
see
while
Mitch.
thing.
So
Yeah,
I just
it's
want
all
to see
about
Mitch.
that. It's all about that end zone slime.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna get right into things with our Week 3 review. We'll take you right through these games uh, as we played them this week, these past 2 weeks, I should say. So first off, we had Delaware at Duquesne. Delaware took control early and didn't look back. They led 28 to 14 at half and won the game 42 to 24. Uh, there wasn't really much to this game. Delaware obviously controlling the clock, doing what Delaware does, and it ended in a victory. Nothing new for Delaware, starting off the CAA season 1-0. Expect to see them climb in the rankings as Duquesne has put together a pretty good season. One close loss to Jacksonville, and a big win against Stetson in week 1. Next up, we had James Madison versus Towson. It was a big win for me. I was able to hold off Mr. D and his Tigers. It was a close one and a huge defensive battle as I threw 4 interceptions, but I forced 5. I got 3 picks and 2 forced fumbles and threw 4 picks. I won 31 to 21. This was a rematch of my tournament's final, the off-season directional dispute that Cooper was an alternate for. Or did you play in that one actually? I think you did.
I ended up playing. Yeah. I played.
Yeah.
I finished in the fifth place game. I played against Edge, and that was an experience at the end. No,
Yeah,
that's where
so
the
you were there too.
yeah, that's where my despise of kneeling comes from. Hate kneeling.
Uh,
Kneeling hours.
yeah, so that game was a fun one. So that was the final, Towson versus JMU, and Towson actually won the final, but I was able to win in this rematch, and we'll see if we can do another game sometime, hopefully in the conference championship game, to settle the best 2 out of 3. Next up, we've got Morgan State at William and Mary. This one didn't make it out of the third quarter due to some personal issues, but William and Mary was able to hold off a late Bears run to close this game out, 28 to 21. The Tribe have been slowly putting together a good season. They're sitting at 2-1 right now. Morgan State has been stalling after finishing last season on such a high note, beating Towson 38 to 30. They've gone 0-3 to start this season with 2 losses to Montana State, obviously in their series, and a loss here to William and Mary. They'll look to recover next week as they play Towson in that Ashes series game that was week 12 last season. Next up, we've got Richmond versus Villanova. Tough start to the season for Edge as he falls to 0-3 and never really got a foothold against Zand and the Spiders. He lost 27 to 21. I know he's got some thoughts about that game, Edge. Let's hear him.
I felt like I played really good against Zand, who's a really, one of the best coaches we have here uh, in the FCS. It was a really tough one to lose. It's tough to be, but I think I took a lot of positives from the game. So, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season here.
Agreed. Villanova's probably one of the better 0-3 teams here. Obviously, Edge has had a rough go of it these first 3 weeks, playing some really good coaches. I obviously played Penn last week, played Richmond this week, and I think it was Chatty to start the season, right? So that's a hard schedule to go through. Hopefully, they recover next week when they play. If my thing is correct here, they play Robert Morris, whose game we'll talk about right now, VMI versus Robert Morris. That was a crazy game by Lily, the new Robert Morris coach. She was able to take an early lead on the Keydets, I should say. And DePupier, who has really struggled this season, only has 1 win against a very not so good South Dakota team. Loses this one 38 to 20. And then finally, our game of the week, Delaware State versus Youngstown State. And this one was just like all of us thought it would be, a high-scoring affair. Delaware led 21-6 at the end of the first quarter, but the game was tied 28-28 after a huge second quarter from the Penguins. The teams traded touchdowns in the third, but Youngstown State was able to score late and hold off a last shot attempt by Delaware State. The final score was 49-42, and that game, I forgot to pull up the stats here, but that game, Delaware State turned the ball over 4 times, which is very uncharacteristic that we've seen from that Delaware State offense. And Youngstown State obviously holding that time of possession, as Delaware State is a pass-happy air raid team, and limiting themselves to 1 turnover, which is good. Always good to limit yourself in the turnover battle. We've got our battle for Appomattox. So if you guys didn't notice, we played CAA North versus CAA South games this week. Starting it off strong, the CAA South takes a lead here, 4-2. They had 4 wins this week compared to the 2 wins for the North. And in our tiebreaker, which we always count, the South is plus 16 in point margin. It would have been bigger if it had not been for Lily's big win against VMI. That really helped the North kind of stay in it if they can pull it back in our next Battle for Appomattox week. I don't really have a stat of the week. There was nothing interesting. I did notice there was a 711 diff PAT for William and Mary. I'm pretty sure that's like their 4th PAT that's been over like 650, but I mean, they all still went in, so you can't really complain, if you score or you score. Moving on to what we got wrong. I missed myself. I missed Robert Morris winning. I missed William and Mary winning, and I missed Youngstown State winning.
Yeah, I missed James Madison also, and Robert Morris, and then the only other one I missed was Richmond. I guess I had a little bit too much confidence in myself there.
Confidence is never a bad thing to have, but I mean, when you can't back it up, sometimes it is a struggle. We've got our power rankings. I'll run through these real quick, and then we can talk about them a little bit. Thank you, Josh. I really like that. That makes me feel good about myself because we did lose last year on the tiebreaker. I'm pretty sure. So I love the positivity. Coming in first, we got Delaware with 2 first place votes. Right behind them, Youngstown State with a first place vote for themselves. Unanimous 3rd place, we've got Delaware State. 4th, Towson. 5th, Richmond. Sorry, that should be 4th, Richmond. 5th, Towson. 6th, Robert Morris. 7th, James Madison. William and Mary, Duquesne in that 8 and 9 spot. And in the bottom 3, VMI, Nova, Morgan State. Nova and Morgan State are tied on points, but Villanova was the unanimous number 11, and so they got that spot there. Not much to note here. There was a big jump for a couple teams. James Madison jumping from, I think it was 10th to 7th, as well as Robert Morris jumping from 9 to 6, I'm pretty sure. Tough fall for VMI. They fall from 7 to 10. And then Delaware State falls from 1st to 3rd, and Youngstown State rising a little bit as they go from 4th to 2nd. Edge, I don't know if you want to talk about the slide that's happening, why you're rated so low. What do you think has led to this ranking that you got here?
I mean, I can't say that I ranked myself really highly either. I think I had myself at 11, so I'm definitely not helping. But when you're 0-3, you really can only be so high. So I got to start winning if I want to start jumping back up there.
Still early in the
Fair enough.
season, so still very early in the season. We're only 1 week through the conference play, so you can pick it up. Nothing's a
That's
given.
true. Still got 7 more conference games, so
Very
you
true.
never know what can happen where.
Yep.
Moving on, the most controversial segment. We love to talk about this one. Contender and pretender. My contender is Lafayette. I mean, no one expected them after that 2-10 season and retaining the same coach. No one expected them to be where they are right now. They're 3-0. They're probably going to be ranked top 20. I'm going to rank them probably in my top 15 for next week. They've just been on a tear to start the season. They beat a CAA team in Towson that was supposed to be one of the contenders in the North. And my pretender is Delaware State. Their offense talks the talk, but their defense cannot back it up.
For my contender, I'm going to go with Youngstown State. I think everyone's just kind of been sleeping on them since Bernie left, but Snoop came in. He's a really good coach, and I think he's going to take them places. I think he'll keep them. I think he has the potential to keep them just as high as Bernie did. And for pretender, I'm going to go with Chatty. I know that didn't go over well with him last season when we called him a pretender, but yeah, he just didn't have a very good game against Judge and Kennesaw State, so he's my pretender this week.
Um, I would like to say, you said no one predicted Lafayette to do well. I predicted Lafayette to make the MAC conference championship game. So I don't want to toot my own horn, but I very much am tooting my own horn there. Uh, I will say contender. I have kind of like two. I just wanted to make the comment about Lafayette. I think they've shocked so many people. I think they've shocked about everyone here. I think I wasn't really making a good call there with Lafayette, but uh, but I've been so impressed with how they've been able to do. Uh, and then I would like to say another of my contender is Davidson. Davidson has played very well uh, this past like opening the season. They're 3-0, and I think they can keep rolling through the Carolina Football Conference. And my pretender is I wanted to pick a unbeaten team who I thought it's going to take a little bit of a slide as well. So I'm going to say my pretender is Dixie State. Dixie State hasn't played the greatest of teams yet so far, but they have been putting up a lot of points. So I'm just not sure if that defense can back up the offense.
Another Big Sky team that I'm not too sold on right now is Eastern Washington. Coach Plack, I want to say, at EWU. They're Colts fan, so I kind of hate saying this, but I don't see them hanging it out in the Big Sky. Such a strong conference, with obviously like Danny and Tenny. So you've got some great coaches there. So I don't
I
see Eastern
oh sorry.
Washington that high. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think Plack has a really good shot to keep it rolling because we checked his schedule one time in VC, and he misses all the Big Sky heavy hitters this year. I think he misses like Uga, Danny, Tenny. I think he's with the pods. I think he's really dodging a lot of bullets this year. So if he can get through out of conference and then kind of sweep up on some lower, I guess, Big Sky opponents. I don't want to call anyone lower because I think anyone has a chance to shock everyone, but I think he's got a real good shot of doing pretty well for himself.
I haven't even checked. That's a good point to bring up. If they miss all the big schools, then they've got a good chance to do well there.
I'm
I
pretty sure
forgot
Eastern
about.
Washington misses dodges a bunch of bullets this year.
Yeah, that's good for them. Moving on, we got Player of the Week, offensive. I'm claiming this as my own. Wide receiver, senior Anderson Terranova, 13 receptions, 130 yards. The main stat here is 69 yards after catch, and then one touchdown. And then on defense, we've got Bart Rollins. He's the sophomore linebacker from Nova. He had 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 deflections, and 2 picks. Just an all-around balling week. And then moving on, we got our Week 4 preview. Starting it off with William & Mary at James Madison. I have to pick myself here. I'm going to roll with the momentum. And I haven't beat Bobo yet, so I think it's time for that to happen. And I'm saying 35-17.
Yeah, I think I kind of expect this one to be pretty close. Like so many CAA games are already, but Bobo's really up and down a lot of the time, and I think James Madison's just going to catch him on a down week and eke it out 42-38.
I think I think this one there's not. I also agree. I don't think there's going to be much offense that's going to. I mean, no, much defense is going to be played, and I think this will turn into a shootout. I think it'll be a close one, and I'm going to give it to JMU, like 37-30.
I'll take the sweep there. Hopefully that doesn't invigorate that William & Mary Tribe player, or William & Mary Tribe football team, I should say. Moving on, we got VMI at Delaware. VMI has struggled this season. and UD has kept that CAA train rolling. So I'm taking the Hens in a big one, 42-7. Hopefully, this one isn't as close as most of the Delaware games are. Leaving it to Matt. I see Matt's here, but Matt, you there?
Yeah. I think VMI is going to keep it close, but Delaware is just a better team here. They probably win like 35-20 or something in that, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Delaware is just going to be too much for VMI, and they're going to win big for once, 35-10.
I refuse to accept that Delaware will blow out the team. I think Delaware's great, but I think DePuy Peter will keep it close, and I don't think it'll have that much offense. I'm going 2013 Delaware.
Fair enough. We'll keep it rolling. We've got University of Richmond at Delaware State. This is going to be an interesting one. Spiders are 1-2, and Delaware State is 2-1. But the Spiders are coming off of a win, and Delaware State is coming off of a loss. Two potentially explosive offenses. So it's going to be which team has a better defense here. And I'm thinking the Spider defense rises to the task. So I'm going Spiders 42, Hornets 38. I think Richmond's going to win in like a last minute type of drive where they're able to score, and then Delaware State doesn't have time to come back.
This game is going to come down to who turns the ball over the most. I've noticed that when I played Youngstown State, I think I had 2 turnover rundowns, or 3 of them, and then also 4 regular turnovers. So like whoever turns the ball over the most in this game is gonna win, just because of the fact that we both have offenses that just put up obnoxious numbers all the time. So it's really a coin flip for me.
Yeah, I think Zan finally got a win last week against me. He's gonna start. He's gonna start finally putting things together, and he's gonna keep that explosive Delaware State offense in check and win 41-28.
Yeah, battle of the offenses here. I think I'm agreeing with Dor here. I think it's going to be the last person with the ball. Uh, I think this will just end up being a shootout as well. I think yeah, I think Richmond will come up with that with a clutch defensive stop near the end of the game, and I think Richmond takes it 49-42.
Fair enough. Moving on, we got Duquesne at Youngstown State. Duquesne is looking to rebound after a tough loss, but YSU has that Penguin offense flying. So I'm taking the Penguins in a real close one, 28 or 24-31. I think Snoop has the possibility to, like Edge said, I think he can bring them to just about that Bernie caliber. And so I think YSU is a team to watch here. Obviously, that coaching change early kind of let everyone's expectations down, but we've got a good shot for, or sorry, this is a good chance for Snoop to take control of the CAA North.
I also see Snoop winning this one. I think his offense will just be too much for Kyle to stop. So I think he wins something like, let's go 56-30.
Yeah, like Dor just said, like I've been saying, Snoop is just getting really underrated just because he had to take over for Bernie. I think he's going to keep rolling with a 41-24 win.
I'm a I'm a huge fan of Duquesne and Val, but I really think Snoop is kind of coming to Youngstown State. Has gotten the Penguins rolling after their departure of their coach. I'm holding my I'm holding my Penguin plush right now, and I think Youngstown State rolls huge, 41-7.
41-7 is a huge margin. I know Val's listening in. She's going to keep that in mind. I mean,
I'm sorry, Val. I'm sorry.
they're
I know I shouldn't be saying that after you beat me last season. I know I shouldn't be saying that.
yeah, just like she said, that is some great bulletin board material. She's gonna keep that in mind, make you eat your words. Next up, we've got what was the game? I totally lost. Oh, Villanova at Robert Morris, and I'm hopping on that Lily hype train. Go Colonials! I'm picking them to win 38-21.
I think Lily has potential, but usually the first couple games are very up and down for new coaches. So I think that she's going to lose a close one here, like something around 35-28, 35-31, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect this week. New coaches are always a tough game. You don't really know. You don't really have much to look at. Um, Lily got a good win last week, but I'm just gonna back myself to put a new coach back in their place and win 31-21.
I know the Colonials are probably riding that high from last week over their big win, but I do think Villanova shows them that old that old CAA parity, and I think they pick up their first win of the season, 21-20.
And then moving on, we've got our game of the week. This is the Ashes series. This one ended last regular season. Towson versus Morgan State. Uh, England versus Australia. This is the big one. The Englishmen got the best of the Aussies last season. They won 38-30, but they've struggled this season. So give me the Aussies 42-21.
Yeah, Ryland hasn't really gotten things going yet this season, especially like after his start last season. He had a really good start until he ran into me. But I just think I think Mr. D and his new assistant coach Master D are going to be too much for Morgan State this week. I'm going to take Towson 35-24.
I think it'll be bounce back for Towson. I think Towson will end up rolling. I think they're gonna win about by I think two scores. I'll give it like 31-21 Towson over State.
Fair enough. Moving in, we've got our listener questions. This is obviously the fun one. Not many to go with today, just a few that we can roll through here. First up from Josh, we've got most likely team to go undefeated. I'm going with Brady just because it is the Delta, and they're not the strongest conference. Obviously, there's a couple other really good 3-0 teams right now that have a good shot, but they have a lot of tough in-conference play to go with. So I'm going with Brady.
I'm going to agree with you, Brady, definitely.
Yeah, I think Princeton is a decent shout too, but the Ivy just looks like it's going to be so tough this year. Has to lose at some point. So yeah, I'm going to go with MVSU also.
I know the Ivy is usually a bloodbath like they are with all those with only 8 of them and they're all good. But I think Einstein will really hit it and he'll keep it going. Uh, I feel MVSU late in the season always ends up finding a trap game where some some dick opponent maybe that gets overlooked will end up knocking off the big guy.
Fair enough. Moving on, we got Fruity with 2 questions. Right now, the first one is he says teams with a losing record who you think will make the playoffs. And I'm still going to ride with Towson here. I think they've had a tough go of things. Obviously, maybe sometimes he's distracted because he has a kid. Uh, but they're still my pick to win the CAA North. And so I'm going to back Towson here.
I'm just going to fully bring the confidence, and I'm going to go with myself for the 9-3 season to sneak into the playoffs.
And I think Moofish didn't really think he was going to be in this spot right now, but after coming off a huge win against Grambling State, I think he'll get it going, and I think he's probably got a good shot at winning the South.
I think I'm gonna agree that Movefish probably has the best shot of all the choices so far. The Southland is a toss up. Honestly, this year you never know what's going to come out of that conference, but I think he's probably the
I mean, F
best
Man is 2-1. I mean, who predicted that?
no one.
Next question we've got here, we have still from Fruity. He says undefeated teams who will miss the playoffs. I'm gonna go with Western Illinois. They've had a good first three games, but their conference is really tough. Missouri Valley has been really picking up their play this season, and if I'm not mistaken, he still has to go through North Dakota State and Northern Iowa. So that's going to be a rough game, rough 2 games there. They've been pretty active, in the server. So I love the new coach. I love the energy that they're bringing. Ending that curse. But I just don't see them making the playoffs with that tough of a conference.
I'll go ahead and go. I think Tarleton State will cool off in the Southland, but I'd love to see them succeed. They are a newer coach, so and they're off to a hot start. But I think they're just gonna start hitting conference play, and it'll be a little tough of a road for them.
Yeah, that was my bad. I missed my unmute button apparently. But yeah, I agree with Dor. I think Western Illinois just has too much of a gauntlet to go through to stay this hot.
There's nothing from Matt. I'll keep rolling. We got Uga coming in with a question. Is it Uga or Oga? I never know. He says best team with 0 wins. Right now, my top 3 are Holy Cross, Southern Utah, and Oga himself. So whichever way you pronounce it, I still really don't know. But those are my best 3 teams with 0 wins. I think all of them could still make a statement in conference play.
I feel like it's definitely pronounced Uga. I'm pretty sure that's right. But I'm going to say Uga's going to get it going. It's going to make the playoffs. Mark my words. It's also been quite sad to see Skip, my fellow Crusader brother, having a little rough start. So I'd love to see him get going as well.
Yeah, I agree with Uga. I'm also just going to throw myself out there because, like I said, I'm trying to stay confident, stay positive about this season, and I think the toughest part of my season is behind me, so I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with Uga too. He's gonna get out sooner or later.
All right, next question here, kind of on topic with the Nickelodeon NFL game going on right now. We've got Habes asking, compare FCS coaches to SpongeBob characters. So obviously, I'm going to start with SpongeBob. I couldn't decide between Jocks or Duke. I think both of them. Jocks, obviously, she is the main character, but also Duke, he seems like a main character type of guy as well. Tenny is Squidward. I feel like that one should be unanimous. Obviously, Bob is going to be Mr. Krabs. Moofish is Patrick. And then is Larry the Lobster, because as we know, that man is something else in the attractiveness specter of things.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be unanimous that Tenny Squidward. That's very true.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with whatever you guys have to say.
All right, nothing else. We'll keep that one rolling. Zan says best rookie coaches so far, or like coaches with the highest ceilings. I'm going with Western Illinois and Georgetown, as well as McNeese State. Those 3 have all been super active, and they've all been playing very well. Robert Morris has just kind of exploded onto the scene in their first game against VMI. I think they could be good. Obviously, Lily's new coach, so you never know how things go But yeah, those are my top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think WIU has been very impressive so far, and I think Tarleton State. He's a new coach, and I know. I told him. I said he was going to miss the playoffs and cool off, but I think he's had a very impressive start of the season from a program that really isn't hasn't been highly regarded in FCS.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. WIU's definitely up there. Georgetown. Um, I'm a little hesitant to say Robert Morris yet. I think it's a little too early after one game. Um, I'm gonna hold off on them for another week or two yet.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you guys on Georgetown and Western Illinois. I think Robert Morris has been pretty good as well. Obviously, she crushed VMI last week, but her jury's still out. But she can definitely be good as well.
I lost my unmute button there. But our last question, coming from What's Up, he says, "Who's the most likely coach to have a persona, a secret persona, we should say?" I had to change my answer because Moofish called it. So I'm gonna go with Uga. We know about his profound feet obsession. So what is stopping him from having a secret persona?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's either Tenny or Moofish. Moofish just he said just about anything you could think of. I mean, that wouldn't be a surprise to me, honestly, if he had just more sides to him. And then Tenny as well. I feel just he had that Tiger profile picture for too long. It's got to not be a coincidence.
I'm gonna go. Uh, don't tell Chatty, but I feel like he's. I mean, I don't know. I just have like a hunch. I don't know. Chatty, yeah, Chatty. I don't know.
It's funny. I didn't really think about it until Cooper wrote it down on our script there, but I could actually see Chatty too for some reason.
I don't know. It's like someone. It's like a super random thing that just popped up in my head, and it's just like, Chatty maybe. I don't know.
Fair enough. If you guys want to end on Chatty, we'll call it a day. Hopefully, you guys have a great Sunday or Monday whenever you're listening to it. If you're listening live, go watch that Nickelodeon NFL thing because you never know when it'll come around again. And so you should enjoy it while it's here. Obviously, thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. You know how it is. And we'll call it a day there. Thank you guys for listening.